Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Boker Tov.
Boker Tov.
In fact, tell your neighbor Boker Tov.
Boker Tov.
Good morning. Give them a hearty Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, we're going to start with our 26th lesson in Hebrew, which is really a part 2 from last week on Hebrew prepositions. If everyone could just come in the presence of God with me, so you can bow your head and get ready to honor God on this wonderful Shabbat. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and our King, we thank you, Lord God, as we start this morning, Lord God, truly our Shacharit service of giving you praise and honor in a morning service. As it dawns, as the sun dawns, we thank you today, Lord God, that you're giving us, Lord God, the language of Hebrew, Ivrit, Lashon HaKodesh, and we thank you that as we learn these prepositions, we will learn how to communicate in a way that gives direction in our words as we study the Word of God and share the good news of the Hebrew Scriptures the way Yeshua did and follow in His footsteps and the way the apostles spread the good news all over the world. We pray this good news would reach all of Israel and all of the Jewish people all over the world and all the nations of the world that call upon your name in truth. We thank you and praise you. B'Shem Yeshua. Amen. Amen. All right. We are looking at the 6 prepositions that we looked at last week, and also as a quick review, and we're also going to look at 6 new prepositions. We're going to start with our Aleph Beit and quickly do our vowels one time through. Let's start. 1, 2, 3. Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Sadi, Kuf, Reish, Shin, Tav. Alright, that's the Aleph Beit. Now let's quickly say our vowels, the Spanish or Mediterranean sounding vowel that Hebrew uses. 1, 2, 3. A, E, I, O, U. Again, the A, E, I, O, and U of our American ears to hear English is not what we're using in Hebrew. What we're using is the more Spanish or Mediterranean vowel, the A, E, I, O, U. Okay? So, let's take a look at what we learned last week. Does anybody know without vowels what the Aleph Lamed is in Hebrew?
El.
El. So we have the word El, and the vowels would be like this, a sagol underneath the Aleph, because the Aleph is silent until you give it sound, like a shofar is silent until you give it wind or breath. Okay? What is the meaning of El? Now, it looks like the name for God, but it is a little different. Okay? It is a preposition in this case. So, it means something as a preposition versus what it means in Hebrew as a name, and that's because the vowel. The vowel has a sagol and not a seireh, which is 2 dots. Okay? So, with the sagol underneath, we have El, and it means what?
2.
Yeah, I'm going to put the simple definition for today, it's just a review. 2. Whether it's into or toward, you still have the word to in the word. The basic meaning is 2. What's our second word that we learned last week? Al. The Ayin Lamed with a vowel of an A sound, patach, underneath. We have Al, which means what? Upon. So, and variations of the word upon, on, above, or about, but mostly it means to be upon something. And we saw that it's kind of like elal, like it's to go up, come up over or above something. So to make aliyah, you're coming up on. You're coming up in the air, you're flying in all the airlines, but you're also making aliyah. When you go to Israel, make immigration to Israel or travel to Israel, you're making an aliyah. When you come up to the reading table and read from the Torah, you're making an aliyah. Okay? Or the Ashkenazi Jew would say an aliyah. An aliyah, that's how they would pronounce aliyah, an aliyah. Okay? So, we see our second word, Beit Yud Nun Sofit, and what does that spell?
Ben.
Okay, so we have the word Ben.
Ben.
Okay, and if we phonetically spell it, it would look like this.
Bang.
So our vowels would be say right underneath, bang. Okay? Which means what? Between. Okay. Now, our next word, we have tav, chet, tav. This is not a hey, this is a chet. How do we know it's not a hey? It's missing the window. The window. Remember, hey is a picture of a window, but what is chet a picture of? A fence. So we need to fence it in. It's a house that has a fence around it. It's all fenced in. There is no space. It kind of looks like you're creating the hay with the little beveled corner of a right angle. But then you come down with a solid line from top to bottom to fence everything in. Letter chet. Okay? Now, before and after it is the letter tav, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The 22nd letter is tav. So we have the vowels looking like this. And how do we pronounce this? Notice the vowels are the same. Patach, patach. We know that is what? Ah. How do you know it's an ah? Right off the bat without knowing the timing or anything. What's the indication that it's probably an ah sound? There's what? Lines. Anytime we have multiple dots, you can assume it's like multiple eggs in a basket. How do you pronounce eggs? Eh. It's an E-H sound. Eh, right? If you see lines, majority of the time it's a what? Ah sound. Okay? So, we already assume it's an ah sound from the two lines, and they're the same timing. So, whenever you have a medium length sound in a vowel, side by side, the same length, it's going to sound like you're leaning on the first syllable with the accent. Technically, they're both the same. Ah. So it sounds like you're doing the first one quickly. So it sounds like it comes first. It sounds like it has the accent. Tachat. Tachat, not tachat. Tachat would be this. Tachat. You have the longer vowel at the end. That's not what's going on here. It's tachat. It's the same way when we spell Erev. Now some people say, I'm going to Erev Shabbat. I'm going to Erev. Erev. Where's Erev at? Where's the Reverend at, right? And where's the Erev at? No, this is Erev. Yeah, if you go to Joanne's house. This is Erev. Erev Shabbat. And we're going to learn that Erev was the evening time that Jacob prayed or interceded in a certain place in our lesson today. And the evening service is dedicated to Jacob, like the morning service is dedicated to Abraham, and the afternoon service to Isaac. Because the Bible tells us in the Torah that early in the morning, Genesis 22:3, Abraham arose with Isaac and basically went to the mountain of the Lord, Mount Moriah, and that's where he was having a conversation with God. In the afternoon, Genesis 24 tells us that Isaac kind of went into the field in the afternoon and prayed. And then we have, in this week's portion, in Genesis 28:10, we have the evening prayer, which is modeled after Jacob. Okay? So we have the timing of a medium vowel, like this E vowel, erev, not erev. It's erev. Okay? So in the same way we have tachat. Tachat. Again, medium length vowel. It's going to sound like you're leaning on the first syllable. How about if you have a long vowel? Like, for instance, this might not be one that is of the same vowel, but someone spelled this word for me without vowels. Torah, that's right. How do you say Torah? Torah. The I at the end gives a longer sound. But these are both long vowels. The cholam and the kamatz is actually long vowels. So whenever there's two long vowels, you lean on the second syllable as the accent. It's still the same length. They're both long. But anytime you have two long vowels, the last long vowel you're going to hear is the last one. Right? So if I hear two long beats of music, boom, boom, it sounds like the last one keeps going. Okay? Boom. But they're both equal. But the other one had a cutoff for the next beat. boom, boom. And it really is the same length of time, but it's going to seem like you're leaning on the second syllable. So medium, you go first syllable. Long sound of the vowel, you go last syllable. Okay? Everybody understand that? Okay, you're going to have to practice this. Just learning to see the vowels in a word and say, wait, are those both the same length? That will give you the indication of usually the best way to pronounce it. Okay? Right, so we have tachat, T-A-C-H-A-T. What does tachat mean? Under? Okay. And then we had min. The vowel here will just be one, hirik. And that's an I vowel. One dot by itself is not like multiple dots. Multiple dots are like eggs. One dot by itself is like the dot on the I. It's an I vowel. So every time you see one dot, you think the dot on the I. You think one certain vowel, the I vowel, which would be pronounced how? E. You pronounce an I vowel E, like in Spanish, right? Okay. So here we have min. Min haaretz, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzei lechem min haaretz. Or some sing it min haaretz. However you sing it, it's your tradition, right? So min means from. It's just like when we use the mem by itself in front of a word, which would just also mean from. Like from Jerusalem, you can do a contraction. Instead of saying min Yerushalayim, you can say Mirushalayim. Mirushalayim, by putting the mem in front of the yud, which makes the yud a vowel instead of a y, and it's Mirushalayim. From Jerusalem. We say it in the blessing, right? In the Torah blessing. You'll hear it today. Maybe I'll overemphasize it in the service so you can hear the min or the Mirushalayim in the different blessings. Okay? And so what does this one mean? Min means from. Number one definition is from, the simple definition. Okay? And then the last one we learned last week is what? We have bitoch. Okay? Bitoch. So we have transliterated, we have the letter beit, which is a B. We have the shiva, so we'll put a little apostrophe there. We have the letter tav, which is a T. We have the vav with the dot on top, which makes it an O. Oh, excuse me. Did I say bitoch? I didn't say bitoch, right? Bitoch. Okay. So basically, this is the transliteration. The opposite way to do it is you could put an E here instead of the apostrophe, but to remind us it's the shortest possible vowel called a shiva, we're going to have only the apostrophe, just so you know. It's not really sounded that much. It's betoch. The B and the T almost slam together. Okay? And what does that mean?
Within.
Okay.
In the midst.
Within or in the midst. I'll just put within for a simple understanding. Right? Just like Yeshua is betoch. Right? He is in the midst of his people. Betoch amo. In the midst of his people. All right, so let's look at this week's set of prepositions so we can use these for sentences. The first one, we'll take a look at lamed. In this case, instead of pei, we pronounce it as fei, nun, and yud. Lamed, pei would be fei without the dagesh, and we have nun and yud. Okay, so let's put our vowels in. We have hirik. We have no dagesh in the middle of the pei. We have a shba, which looks like a, two dots up and down, vertical, that looks like a colon. And then we have sereg, 2 dots side by side. Okay, so one dot by itself is always like the dot on an I. What sound does the I vowel have? E sound. Okay, so we have here an L, we have an I, which is pronounced E. So far we have what sound? Li. Okay, what is this letter? Pei with a dagesh in the middle. In this case, it doesn't have the dagesh. It has no dagesh, which would be fei, so we put an F. The shiva here is going to give us an apostrophe here. Leaf. It's going to come to a glottal stop. Leaf. Leaf, like a L-E-A-F, right? Leaf. And then we have what letter next? Nun. So we put an N. And then we have, what vowel here? We have multiple dots. They look like a basket of eggs. So we have the S sound, so we're going to have the E. And then we have what letter last? Yud. In this case, it's not a consonant, it's part of the vowel, but we're actually going to transliterate it with either a Y or an I. Most of the time you're going to see an I. Sometimes you can see a Y. It doesn't matter which one you use because I and Y, remember A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Like in the word my, M-Y, there is an I sound, but there's a Y used instead to spell it. Okay, so we have lifnei. What does lifnei mean?
Before.
Lifnei means before. In simple definition, before. What else can it be used for?
In front of.
In front of. To be for something or to be in front of. Now.
Also in the Torah service.
Also in the Torah service, yes.
Lifnei
Israel. Okay, yes.
But Moses.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're talking about the closing blessing we do with Vizot HaTorah? Vizot HaTorah Asher Sham B'nei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai B'yad Moshe Lifnei. Very good. Good ears and good minds. Now, Lifnei. We have the word panim for face. Panim. So panim, meaning face or faces, we have the same concept here. The pei and the nun comes from face. So to be before someone is to be before their face. Lifnei. Because the lamed would refer to for or to, so for or before, and then nei, the face of. Panim el panim, face to face. Moses had a face-to-face conversation with God. So lifnei, even though it's an F sound instead of a P, we know it's the letter pei and nun, and it would spell face in singular or penei, face of. So for or before the face of is before or in front of. Okay? So we have el, which means to, we have al, which means upon, we have bein, which means between, we have tachat, which means under, min, which means from, and betoch, which means within. Now we have lifnei. What's our next two letters we're looking at for a preposition? What is this letter? Ein. The accents on all the alphabet are always in the first syllable. So it's not ayin, it's ein. 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 So it sounds like the word mine. Ein, mine. Okay? So we have ein, and we have here a hirik, one dot. What's one dot?
E.
An E sound, but it's an I vowel. So since ein is silent, the vowel is going to give it its lettering or its identification. We have the letter I. Then we have a mem sofit, which makes im. Okay, what does im mean? Means with. Im, with. Okay. Our next word also is spelled with ein, and also has what letter? Dalet. Very good. So what vowel is underneath the ein in this case?
It's a patah.
Patah. That's right. And basically, you could have just told me a line if you didn't know, or you could have told me an a vowel or an a sound. Either one of those answers I would have taken. Okay. So what letter I put here? There's no sound of the ein, right? Until you give it its sound. So just like this one, the vowel is what you wrote first. Because there's nothing for the letter. There's no sound of the letter until I give it the vowel. So I give it an A, right?
Yes.
Okay, spell A here, which is an A sound. And what's the letter after that? Dalet. What do I put here? D. Odd. So we have, as in O-O-D, in English, right? Odd, very odd. Im and ad. Ad means what? Until. Say Baruch Adonai Elohim Vad ha'olam Vad ha'olam Ve'ad and until eternity. Vad ha'olam Ve'ad Ve'ad until, and until, because the ve would be the and, right? Vad ha'olam Okay, so then we have the next word is either spelled with Aleph, Chet, Resh, or Aleph, Chet, Resh, Yud. So we have vowels looking like this to Patach. So just like we had Tachat, we have Achar. Achar.
Achar.
Achar.
Achar.
Achar. Achar. Very good. Achar. Tov meod. Okay? And the second way to, in a construct state, we have these vowels. Okay. So we have the Patach, we have the Patach Hatef, and we have Tzereh. So this is a medium length vowel, this is a short length vowel because that Shava shortens it even more. Remember how we have the short E sound when we have the short E sound or no sound at all, kind of brings it to a glottal stop in the middle of a word, but underneath the first letter it kind of shortens it, kind of like here. Betoch. So here we have Acharei. So Acharei, you can spell it. Well, first of all, we have Achar.
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 Yeah, Achar. Achar. And Acharei, which means it just basically adds of to it. It puts it in a consonant state. So we have after or behind, it says here. It means next in order. In fact, when you talk about other gods, Elohim Acharim, you're saying gods who are other, gods who are second place, gods who come after, who are another or next in order. They're not of the same class as the only one true God. So any god you make is another god or a god who can't compare. He comes after. Other gods, okay? Gods that were made after God created all the heavens and the earth, right? So we see here that Achar or Acharei, referring to after, behind, and then we have the next one, Ein, Tzadi, Lamed. We know Ein is a silent letter. What vowel does it have underneath it?
A.
Not A, but E. So we have Tzereh. It can have an A sound if it's followed by a Yud. For instance, Tzereh followed by a Yud is an EY, which sounds like A as in hey, hey Jude, right? Hey. Right? So EY is like an American A. It's like in the word hey, right? H-E-Y, hey, hey, you over there. Right? Or like the letter hey, right? So we have the EY can make an A sound, an American A vowel sound. It's actually two letters together making the sound, right? But typically we have Tzereh as an E, and in this case it's Acharei because of the Yud, which gives it a Y sound at the end. Okay? So let's spell it out. We have here, what do we spell here? We use, what do I put here? What letter? E, thank you. E. And then what else do I put? T-Z. E. L. So we have what? Etzel. Etzel. Which means near or beside. I don't think we find that too often in the Torah. But near or... Yeah, there's a difference in the letter Ein and Sadi. Right, this is Ein, this is Sadi. So this is silent letter, and this one is TZ, or sometimes transliterated as TS, like mitzvah, right? Or tzedakah. Okay? So we have one more, and it's the Aleph Tav.
Aleph Tav.
The Aleph Tav, which is the two letters, and if we put the vowels, we have the Tzere, and it would be spelled out how? E-T, go phone home. So we have extraterrestrials here today. No. We have E-T, et. Barechu et Adonai, kol goyim. Et.
First line of the Torah?
Yeah, it is actually. But the difference is, in this case, it's used to be translated as with. So it's a little different than the direct object indicator. And note the note underneath that last one. It says, note that the preposition et, with, looks identical to the definite direct object marker. Context determines the usage as either a preposition or as a marker. So in some cases, where with can be understood better in the text, you would understand when you're reading the straight Hebrew, if you didn't have the English next to it, you would have to say, well, probably would make more sense if we consider it to be with. And if it makes sense, that's the way it is. So most of the time, when we see Aleph Tav in the Torah, it's untranslatable. You can't translate it into anything. It's just a direct object indicator, something direct is coming. So when we say, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Ve'ahavta et Adonai, and you shall love the Lord. But there's nothing for et. You're not translating it, the word. Et is showing you Adonai's coming. There's something direct coming next. Between the verb and the noun, you have to have a direct object indicator or marker to tell you something direct is coming. That means a personal name or a proper noun. Right? So whether it's a proper noun with ha in front of it, like habait, or ha Elohim, or in fact, if it's just the name of God, if it's Yud He Vav He, or if it's Elohim, or any of those proper names, if it's referring to a person, you have to put et in between the verb and the noun. Okay? Or the object, I should say. Direct object indicator. Okay? Alright, any questions about any of these prepositions, and maybe even how to use them?
Is that word after, behind, that is that first word?
After or behind can either be achar or acharei. So this is kind of after in the order of something, and this is just after. Because this is in a construct state. Construct state means that you're using the word of to create a phrase.
So they're not two different words there.
There are two different words from the same root. They mean basically the same thing, but in context by itself you use achar. But if you're going to make a phrase of something, you're going to use acharei. Like we would say Elohei. What does Elohei mean? What's Elohim mean? God, or it can be translated, it's not referring to the one true God as gods, right? But Elohim in construct state would be Elohei. Elohei Abraham. Who's that? The God of Abraham. Elohei Yitzhak. The God of Isaac. Elohei Yaakov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora Elyon Gomei Chazadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol. I can, this is the morning blessing that, In fact, that's the Shabbat morning blessing. I would love to do it here one day, but they probably tell me we're standing too long to do all this. But we definitely do it for all of our feast days. We do the Amidah, the shortened form of the Amidah, the morning prayers on feast days. Okay? Now, very important to understand how to use these in a sentence. Let's just think of a couple of phrases we could say. Not a whole sentence, but a couple of phrases using these things, these prepositions. What would be a phrase you'd want to create? Tell me in English first. Or you can tell me in Hebrew, and we'll translate it. Pete, you think of one?
Well, I'm looking at the second one on the left. We use that for Havdalah. Im Moshiach ben David.
That's right, Im Mashiach.
Moshiach ben David.
Okay, let's sing it. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera BenYa'akov, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David. Elijah, what? The prophet, Elijah, Tishbite, Elijah of Gilead. May he quickly come to us in our days with Messiah, son of David. So, Mashiach is with Messiah ben David, son of David. Very good. Tov me'od. Very good. Someone think of another one. In fact, the blessings and the songs are very great to be able to understand because we sing them all the time. And then we don't understand the words we're singing. What else can we say?
I was just thinking the El, like when the song we're doing today is El Shaddai.
Well, that would be in referring to God, so you'd have to have it say two dots side by side. So we say they look identical until you see the vowel. So you would never have the shortened segol for God, but you would have it for the preposition to. So that's the only difference there.
But in the same song, there's El Elyon.
And that's still God.
It's still the same.
El Elyon, God Most High.
God.
Elyon is like Aliyah, to be lifted up as Most High. Elyon comes from Aliyah. Yeah. Right. So, well, look at El Al. All right. What else do we have? I mentioned the Baruch Adonai song that we sing. Bad ha'olam, blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel. Right. And then what do we say for mean? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. We have min ha'aretz, from the earth. What else do we have?
Mean over me.
I was actually going to talk about that. Doesn't MO mean from true?
What does it? What now?
MO, like in Hebrew, like you know how Moab, like it was
Yeah.
from the father.
Oh, Moab. Yeah, you're very good. So we said instead of using the whole preposition mean, we can use just a prefix letter, a consonant letter that prefixes to the word that refers to this. So instead of using the nun, we only use the first letter of it, and we put mem in front of it. In that case, we add an O to make Moab. But we can also do the same thing with Yerushalayim. Put the mem in front, the mem and the yud together make me, so the yud becomes a vowel I, and it becomes Mirushalayim. Instead, it's not mean Yerushalayim, that's the long way to say it. We're doing a contraction of the two and making Mirushalayim. Yeah. In fact, we say that in the blessing too, right? Anybody remember that part? Oh, I was just about to go there next. I'm so glad you said that. Betochenu. Right? So let's, what's the blessing? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu divrei emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Betochenu. Hear the enu at the end like you say Eloheinu, our God. Eloheinu. Betochenu means in the midst of us, or in our midst. So within our midst. So how do we translate that? Blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has given us words of truth and life everlasting in our midst, right? The our is the enu at the end, right? Like we say avinu. Remember anachnu. And anytime you hear nu at the end of the word, it means our, or refers to us. So avinu is our Father. Eloheinu is our God. Malkeinu, from melech. Malkeinu is our King. Meshichenu is our Messiah. Rabbeinu is our Rabbi. Toratenu is our Torah. Toratenu. Okay? So in this case, betochenu means in our midst, or within us. In our midst. Because within or in our midst is the meaning of betoch. Okay? Not to be confused with batach, which means to actually trust in. That's in a song too. I can't remember which one right now. Okay, so tachat. How do we use under? What could we say about under? Maybe not in the song, but someone use it. What's under the table?
Feet.
Huh? Feet. Shoes. All right. What if we had a cat run in the room and he hid under the table?
Under olive tree.
Under the olive tree. Okay. Okay. So olive tree. We have etz is tree. Olive is zait. Zait. So etz zait. So we have tacha etz zait. I think that's the way you put it with the olive at the end. It might be a different word for olive tree, but we have olive zait and we have etz which is tree, and then we put tachat under the olive tree. You probably have to find a verse to see how it's worded exactly, but that's basically what you would do. So you'd have the word tree, and then you'd have the adjective afterwards.
Isn't techa in the
Like etz
blessing?
hayim, tree of life. Tree of olives, I think is how you'd say it. Huh?
Isn't techa in the blessing? And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. The first one, I think.
Under? No, I don't think so. You might be hearing some other sounds that sound like it. Right. Anybody else have either a question or wondering how to use one of these, or trying to create a sentence with one of these prepositions? Be creative.
A car is that the shortest for akare?
This is a construct state. That means you're making a phrase with the word of. This is the actual word by itself.
Right, which is the
So
shortest.
it means after or behind. But the other is something that is connected to a phrasing. So when I say Torah of life, that's not just a noun anymore. Torah is a noun. And I could say life, Chaim, or Chai. But if I say Chaye, I say life of. So Acharei is like Chaye Sarah, the life of Sarah, versus Chai, which just means life by itself. So I'm not connecting with an of construct state phrase, something of something. Then I wouldn't use the construct form. I would use it in its singular form. Yes?
How would you say between hot and cold?
You're testing my Hebrew right now. Hot and cold. I can't remember the words for hot and cold. There's some. Oh, I can look them up. Can I borrow you mine?
Big tall, and then hot and cold.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I was saying.
Or I could have looked up Revelation and Laodicea and read the Hebrewish on the. Again, my number one language is English, so from time to time when I'm forced to use Hebrew words that I don't use too often, like in the reading or in the blessings, I have to look them up just like you have to look them up. Okay, so hot. Oh, I should have known this one. Cham. Ham and vowel. Hot. That's one word for hot. Yeah, because remember, Vayera elav Adonai belonei mamre behu yoshev betacha ohel kechom hayom. Okay, so we have the word hot. In that case, it was chom, but normally we'd have cham or chom for hot. And I think that's the number one way to say it. And then we'd say cold. Cold would be cold. Here we go. Cold is an adjective. Car. Oh, I should have known that too. Car. K-A-R. Car is cold.
So it would be
Between hot. So you would say betoch,
car.
cham, vekar. Cham, vekar. Car. And the Israeli would say car. They would on the back of their throat, the R would kind of just suspend there. Like when we say we say boker. We're not saying boker, but boker. Kara.
Kara.
It's a very soft R, kind of on top of the roof of your mouth. Ha. It's like it keeps going in that curved position of the R. Okay? All right, so thank you.
Like
Keep that on this bite right by the side. I can use it. All right, so any other questions?
Sefer.
Sefer is book, okay. So what do you want to
Well, like,
create?
know what you were saying about the R.
Oh, Sefer. Sefer. Yeah, very good. Sefer versus Sefer. Sefer. See, we want to put an to it, and it's a R. R. Sefer. Sefer. The vowel will control it. Sefer versus Sephor or Sephar. So, Kar. Okay?
So how did you say hot?
Hot was,
C-H-A-M.
it's actually, most of the time it's home. But the name Ham or Ham in the Bible, he was very hot because of where he migrated to, close to the equator. That's why they became of darker skin. The Egyptian and the African are of darker skin color because of the heat of where they traveled to. So the name of the person became acquainted with the color of the skin. Ham in the Bible, H-A-M is really C-H-A-M, Ham. Or the heat is home. Okay? So, anybody else have a thought on this? If not, we will close in prayer. I think actually we're out of time. We're going to close. Right. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and our King, we thank you this morning as we have successfully done 12 different prepositions, and in the weeks to come we will use them in sentences and identify them. And I thank you, Lord God, that we were able to bless you this morning in using these prepositions and some of the blessings and songs and prayers that we do and bringing it back to our remembrance, even in the Torah service. Let us hear all of these prepositions and the blessings as we bring out your Torah and read from it today. B'Shem Yeshua. Amen. God bless you guys. Shabbat Shalom. And I don't see you until next week. Shavua Tov.
This was a good Jewish reference because it has all the names.